Good afternoon everyone and welcome to the Connect Arab Summit 2012 here in Doha. My name is Jeremy Foster. It's a pleasure to be moderating a discussion with some of our most important stakeholders of the future. Representing the Youth Innovation Forum we have Roza Al-Moosafri and also Saleh Al-Khulaifi. And over the last few days you've been seeing a lot of interesting things and participating in a lot of activities, and I thought if we might start off with entrepreneurship. Saleh, what does entrepreneurship mean to you? What do you think about it?
Thanks. Well, entrepreneurship for me isn't just the normal definition to starting a company, taking a risk. I see it more of a lifestyle. So it's just being either in the private sector or in the public sector. It's a person that has a passion for an idea and wants to bring it to reality. And that for me is entrepreneurship.
And when you think about those ideas, Roza, what are some ideas throughout this whole last few days, or in fact the time leading up to this, that you've seen and you thought, wow, that was a great idea?
There was actually a competition yesterday at KidCom in the Innovation Theatre, and it was a competition about pitching your ideas that you have that could lead to incentive, and they had, I think, a money incentive for the winner of this idea pitching session. So one of the ideas that I liked was an application called Evently, which basically collects and contributes all the information about events happening within Doha and puts them all in an app for you. And I thought this is a much needed idea here in Doha, because often it's kind of hard to say or to look for a great place to go and find out where everything is happening and where to be or where not to be. And I think that's it for me.
Okay, Saleh, what did you see? What did you like? There was quite a few submissions, and you got to look at a lot. What interested you?
The experience by itself was just amazing. It's the first time for me to attend something similar here in Doha. I've seen it in the States and in London, but to have 1 minute elevator pitch, 20 youngsters coming with different ideas, and that was the final stage. I guess there were something around 100 ideas. The one that touched me the most was one that I had. It was a prayer reminder. But then it had something else to it. It had a gaming idea behind it. So whenever you pray on time and stuff like that, you get credits, and you get that's something that you can share with your friend. So it's something like Farmville, but that motivates you to do something. So the same mentality was just amazing for the idea.
Amazing. And if you would give advice to entrepreneurs who are thinking about creating a new idea, and entrepreneurship is about not just taking that new idea, but turning it into something that adds value, we can earn money from. What advice would you give to those people who might be listening to this interview today?
I guess the first advice is look at your customer's pain. It's either yourself or your customer's pain. So if you are providing something that would not solve a problem, let's say a mice trap run by nuclear power, it does not solve a pain for your customers. So then you cannot add value to the customers, you cannot make money out of it. So the first thing would be look at the customer's pain, either yourself or your friends.
Great. How about you, Roza? What would you say?
I would add to that and say that you should actually sit with your target audience who will be in the future using your idea, and to have an informal discussion just over coffee, very natural, nothing that is recorded, and just ask them and tell them, I have this idea, what do you think? And just gather their feedback. You should be the least one talking, and just listen to them and how they discuss your idea, and take that feedback, incorporate it in your idea, and take it to the next level.
Interesting. Now, one of the other things that you've been doing as part of the Youth Innovation Forum is thinking about advice that you could give to us who are in the industry, who are governing the industry, and might be able to create a better industry for entrepreneurship and innovation to happen. Can you talk about how that process worked?
Yes, we had a brainstorm session a couple of days ago, and this brainstorm session discusses barriers that we face in 3 areas, that being business environment, ICT, and public policy. And within these areas, we were split into groups, and I represented the business environment area. And basically, we discussed as a youth where we find barriers and how we can come up with solutions. And the one barrier that we think, or the one solution to the barrier that we think is most important to us and those that voted on it is the ability to have some kind of youth entity to hold an umbrella under three things. A solution center, which is kind of like an entrepreneurship center or a small business development center. Another area is mentorship program, and another area is awareness of knowledge and sharing the knowledge. Mm-hmm. Just a quick explanation about what these areas are. The area of mentorship program is the idea of gathering all these experienced employees out there that are around us all the time and asking them to become ambassadors or mentors to those that are just entering their career. And for example, if I am, let's say, the director of marketing at any company, mm-hmm. and we have a new entry of an employee in the same department as marketing. So as a mentor, the mentor would be the director of marketing. He or she would mentor me to enable me to get to that position.
Sure.
So I think that this is important. Another thing is the awareness, building awareness of the knowledge that's available about the business environment, how to open your business, what you need to know. And then this leads to the solution center. The solution center, or the small business development center, is the center where we need more awareness on, and a center where we would all go and find free information about what we need and what does it take to make this idea into a business solution.
Sure. It sounds like a lot of things. It sounds like you guys were pretty busy.
We were very busy, and it was a very good idea just to sit with the youth and just, coming from different industries and listening to what they have to say from their own industries.
Sure.
And I think Saleh had a really good area of public policy.
Public policy.
What came out of public policy? I mean, when I think of the attention that we pay as younger people to public policy, it's this kind of nebulous thing that happens, and unless we've studied it specifically, it can be a little bit maybe daunting. So I was just wondering, in simple terms, what do you feel about public policy? And what did you discover?
Just before that, we had an interesting group.
Okay.
And the good thing that we had people from different industries and specific. So we had lawyers with us, and we had business people. So we had from different industries and from different countries. So we were thinking of it more from a Gulf state region. We had people from North Africa and Morocco. So they had different ideas of what public policy and what the public needs in their countries. Public policy, in simple terms, what we came up with was anything or most policies, internal policies that affect the public, from public healthcare, education, safety solutions, and so the major things that affect the people in the country. Mm. And I guess the main three topics that I came up with were, and actually the most important one was public representation in the decision-making process. So this is something that has been lacking in the Arab world for a while, or hasn't been as empowered and implemented. So, and especially youth representation and the decision making, and that was something that I was really proud that our group came up with, and something that really needed in the Arab world.
And one of the interesting challenges that we face in the ICT world, particularly around policy, is that the technology just goes so fast that you implement a policy, and I mean, for example, Facebook wasn't even invented 5-6 years ago, and now we have 700 million people on Facebook. There was no such thing as Twitter, and goodness knows how many tweets are happening, every single moment of the day. So if you would give advice to policymakers in order to cope with the fact that the world will change so fast as they start to build policy around the future, what would you say to them?
So one of the good quotes that someone on my panel came up with is, you should be surfers. So when the tsunami is coming, we shouldn't just run away, we should go ahead, because it's coming no matter what. So we either teach us how to surf, or just run away and then get wiped out with the tsunami. So I guess that's so. And looking at Doha, so we've got most of our ministries on Twitter, tweeting and interacting with people. We've got, and that's this kind of interaction, riding the wave is what I guess policymakers should do, rather than just blocking them and hiding them under.
So when you're teaching them how to surf, are you thinking that you know, all of our policymakers should get onto Facebook and they should be tweeting and understand what all that means from a personal perspective? Is that the kind of surfing, I mean, you know, so that they can jump on the wave or
yeah, at least know what are the aspects of such things, or at least put some experts on spot that know what it takes and what are the dimensions. We don't want to hear people saying that, oh, these are the Facebook kids, and in a couple of days you've got a revolution. So we need, the decision maker needs to know what are the aspects of it and what's happening there, so that he isn't on the same playing level as his people.
Roza, you mentioned about mentorship, and it got me thinking about a classic old guy called Jack Welch from the States. And one of the things he implemented was something called reverse mentorship. And that was where he got, instead of thinking about the younger people being mentored by the older people, it was the older people being mentored by the younger people. And if you could, you know, offer business and organisation, even government advice on, you know, how they might facilitate such a thing, reverse mentorship, because you have the luxury of not seeing all of the detail around the stuff we built.
Yes.
So how would you
I would say to, you know, when there is a big meeting happening and you are able to invite a youth to that meeting, for example, board of directors meeting or board of trustees, just to invite as the youth as an observer.
Sure.
And after that, without putting him or her in front of the whole crowd, to just discuss with him, so what do you think about this? What could have been changed? What is better? And to motivate them to think that, yes, you did use the recommendations, is when this meeting happens again, that the youth is able to notice some changes happened because of your recommendations.
Sure.
And I think this is a good way. But just going back to what you said about reverse mentorship, I think there's also a problem here because there's a trust issue. That we don't, as a youth, we're not necessarily trusted so much to be able to give in such opportunity. So I think the first step is to build this trust, and after we build this trust, then we can, you know, feel safe to be, you know, somebody that could recommend and could help our mentors.
So we've talked about mentorship, and we've talked about Youth Innovation Forum and getting involved. And what advice would you give younger people who are interested in getting involved and helping make a change? Because we can't just suddenly out with the old, in with the new. We need to take evolutionary steps. So what advice would you give, Roza?
Simple, write it down, ask for recommendations, and ask how it's logically or its practicality into moving forward. But the most important thing is to write it down. That's the first step that I take in anything. Put it down on paper so you know that it exists.
Very practical advice. Saleh, what would you say to those people who are interested in getting involved?
I guess what I would tell them is to be patient. Success doesn't come from the first trial. Angry Birds was built on the 8th trial. So what I want to tell them is that be persistent and keep on pushing for it, and it's going to happen. And don't just drop out after the first no. So that's what I would say.
Roza, Saleh, thank you so much for coming and spending this time with us here at the Connect Arab Summit 2012 in Doha. Look forward to sharing lots of ideas with you over the coming days, months, and indeed decades. Thank you so much.
Thank you.